Welcome to Up to the Minute. It is Friday, March the 26th. Glad to have you with us on this hashtag Film Friday. And we've got a great show lined up for you. Are you a film student? Well, you'll want to pay attention to the show because we've got a Houston Chronicle film critic coming up. But first, Frank Cooper. It's hashtag Frank on Fridays. Frank's always here every Tuesday and Friday. Today is no exception. Good to see you, Frank.
Thanks for having me, Tyler, man. Hey, man, I'm liking that. I'm liking the white beige, what's that sweatshirt you got on?
This is like, I think the color is ice blue.
Ice blue. White picked out because I can't imagine a guy knowing the color ice blue.
Well, you know, that's just what they call it. I remember because it looked like a light blue to me, but it's ice blue. So thanks a lot, though.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, guys, I know it's Friday, man, but we're on 5 days a week. Check us out on YouTube. Look up HCC Up to the Minute for all the latest episodes, campus interviews with all of our guests, and also we're on social media. So Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, all social media platforms are on there as well. So let's grow the show. Back to you, Todd.
All right, Frank, stick around. We'll be checking with you later. Maybe we'll talk a little bit of sports because it's a big weekend for Houston Cougars. We got a great game coming up tomorrow. More on that later in the show. We've got a couple of special guests today. As we mentioned, it's Film Fridays, and Michael Flanagan, the instructor from HCC's drama department. Good morning to you, Michael. Great to have you with us again on the show.
Good morning. Thank you. It's good to be here.
We're looking forward to talking to you about the events you guys have coming up, so stick around. But first, this week, joining us again, we've got Carrie Darling. He is the arts editor and film critic for the Houston Chronicle. Thanks again for being here, Carrie. Good to see you again.
Thanks for having me.
So, Cary, it's a sad day for Houstonians, for film lovers, and people who just love history, because yesterday we didn't want to see it happen, but the River Oaks Theater officially closed. It looks like they couldn't make a deal with their Weingarten Realty to keep their lease, and they had to close down. What are your thoughts on this? And most importantly, do you think you'll see that theater back up and running again, maybe under a different ownership?
Well, that would be nice. I mean, at this point, Weingarten hasn't really given a clue what they're going to do, with the space, with the building, if it's going to be more sort of what happened with the old Alabama Theater, which became a Trader Joe's, or the old Tower Theater, which will be an Acme Oyster House, I guess, starting next month. So they haven't really said where they're going to go. It'd be nice if another theater could come in and operate it. But the way the economy is now with the pandemic, I don't know, theatrical exhibition is not necessarily the best business these days to be in. So I don't know. I would love to see that happen then.
Yeah, we'd all love to see it up there. I know there were rumors several years ago about Amazon Studios buying a number of these small theaters, but as you mentioned, the pandemic kind of threw a wrench into all those plans. So right now, it doesn't seem to be any plans on tap from what you're saying.
Yeah, not at this point. I mean, I hope it's not just another retail space, because that happened in Miami. There was a beautiful theater called the Lincoln Theater on Lincoln Road. A symphony was in there for a while, which was a nice use of the space, but then it became an H&M. So I would hate to see that same thing happen with River Oaks. Yeah,
as you mentioned, we've seen it happen before with now what is Trader Joe's, and with the upcoming with Tower Theater turning into Acme Oyster House. Want to ask you though, Cary, it's Oscar season, and we talked before about a couple of films you recommended, which looks like they're made it for at least one award. Let's talk about some of the year of the notables. Let's start with the year of the indie movie, and I guess this has been a good year for indie movies because they're out there in the tentpole movies, just haven't made it to theaters yet.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you look at the 8 films that are nominated, and they're pretty much sort of all come from sort of the indie camp. I mean, something like even Mank, which has 10 awards. It's a Netflix film, but it's very much sort of a film aimed at very much at film fans. Talking about the origins of Citizen Kane and the guy who wrote Citizen Kane.
And Mank, like a lot of these films, I know Nomadland, Judas and the Black Messiah, a lot of these films are not only have been available in theaters, but Mank itself, you can watch it on Netflix at any time.
Oh, yeah, that's true for a lot of them. I mean, The Sound of Metal was, I believe, Amazon Prime. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of these movies were seen by people in their homes. I think probably 80% of their audience was, at home, not in theaters.
Let's talk about the year of surprises. Did you see some surprises with some things that were nominated for awards?
Well, yeah, first, I mean, there was extremely sort of diverse lineup this year. We had women directors nominated, Asian American director Lee Isaac Chung for Minari, 2 African American men nominated in the supporting actor category, both from Judas and the Black Messiah. So it was a very diverse lineup this year.
And you also mentioned a movie last time we spoke, and I watched it on Amazon shortly afterwards, One Night in Miami. And you said that was one of your favorite films. Certainly incredible period piece and really some great acting there.
Yeah, definitely. That was actually a surprise that it wasn't nominated for more. It's nominated in the supporting actor category, but Regina King got overlooked for director, and it's not up for Best Picture.
Tell us 2 titles you didn't expect to get recognition that they did.
Well, a couple especially in the foreign category, well, actually in the Best Director category, a Danish language movie called Another Round. Paul Vinterberg got nominated for that, again, over Regina King, over Aaron Sorkin, who did Trial of the Chicago 7. So that was definitely a big surprise for a Danish language film to be nominated in that category.
And I know there were a couple of other movies. I think before you mentioned The White Tiger. That's another one that seemed to come out of nowhere. And that's another one you can watch streaming as well.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and it's up in the adapted screenplay, and it's definitely worth it.
Let's move on. We talked a bit about River Oaks, but other theaters in Houston remain closed. Specifically, I can think of Regal theaters, and some of them are having limited offerings right now. When do you see things getting back to somewhat of a normalcy? I know movies keep getting pushed back, but do you see Regal and other theaters getting back in full speed in the next few months, or is it going to be another year before we get back to some normalcy?
No, I think so, because actually some Regals are opening on April 2nd. I believe both the one at Marquee and the one on Richmond, I believe they're opening next weekend, and other Regals are going to be all open by April 16th. And they're actually opening a huge new Regal up in Spring, I think sometime in April. So Regal seems to be coming back. I think they were all hoping that Black Widow would remain on their spring lineup, but now Disney just announced that they're moving that to July, and it's going to be on Disney Plus. So I'm sure they're not happy about that. But I think it'll be maybe sooner rather than later that things will start moving back to some sort of normalcy.
You know, I heard the announcement about Black Widow and several other movies that are moved to Disney Plus, and they're going to be released in theaters. But from what I'm hearing and from what I'm reading in social media, people are not happy about this. What Disney Plus is now doing is they've got their normal subscription fee, but they're charging you another premium on top of that to watch the movies they aren't putting in theaters. You know, that's certainly going to turn a lot of people off with these new streaming services that are out there. Right, but it seems so far these things seem to be sort of working. People seem to be willing to pay for whether it's a Hamilton or, I'm sure they'll pay for Black Widow. So far it seems to be working for them. Let's talk about streaming. Are there any gems out there that you see that people should be watching that are streaming right now? Let's see. Actually, one of the things I'm most excited about, it's on AMC Plus right now, but it'll be on sort of regular AMC starting in April. It's actually a series from Gareth Evans, who's a film director, an action film director. It's called Gangs of London, and it's one of the better things I've seen. It's very violent, lots of action. So if you don't mind that, I thought it's one of the best things I've seen recently. Is it a period piece as well, or is it? No, it's contemporary. It's set in sort of a very, very multicultural urban London. Is there a movie right now that's upcoming that you're very excited about seeing? Well, there's a lot of things. I mean, there's some of the big ones that got pushed back. I'm interested in seeing how Black Widow's about In the Heights, the musical from Lin-Manuel Miranda. That could be interesting. So there's quite a few things that were supposed to come out last year that hopefully will come out this summer or this fall. Yeah, I don't know if James Bond just keeps getting pushed back and back again. Now they're saying next November. And the Dune movie as well was supposed to be a big movie. That was going to come out around Christmas, and that's looking at the end of the year as well. Right, that's sometime this fall. Yeah, hopefully it's better than the last Dune from 30 years ago, but hopefully it stays on schedule. I remember watching that movie going, boy, this is just terrible. I'm just not getting it. So I'm hoping this movie will be a lot better. Carrie Darling, arts critic or a film critic and art editor from the Houston Chronicle. Thanks for being here again. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Okay. Thank you for having me. All right. We're going to move on to our HCC guest of this morning. Michael Flanagan is an instructor for HCC's drama department. Welcome back, Mike. Good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me.
Hey, before we get into the specific productions you and your students are working on this current semester, tell us what types of jobs that, I guess that's always a big thing. Are there jobs for drama graduates? Because I know when I was in high school, I loved drama, but there didn't seem to be a lot of jobs out there. Has that changed in the Houston area?
It has. Houston, in before the dark times, Houston has a great theater scene that's very active, and students from our program have gone on to act in local productions, or not even necessarily local, to go around the country, or try to give it a shot in film and television. And in addition to that, our designers, our stage managers, our tech students have an opportunity to go out there and kind of make those connections. One of the great things that's come out of being kind of on lockdown for a year is we instituted a interview series for our drama majors, where every Wednesday night we talk to a theater professional. And for example, we spoke to the artistic director of Stages Repertory Theater in Houston, and several students were able to make a connection. And he was kind enough to offer his email address and work with those students on either talking about what they could do with their careers, or even kind of bringing them on in some capacity to stages. It's been great.
What types of do students, can they move on to the job market with just a 2-year degree from HCC, or is it better to move on to a 4-year degree if you're in the drama field?
That's a great question. In some cases, for example, in design or in tech fields, it's always helpful to kind of go on and continue to study and get a bachelor's, or in some cases, even a master's. It is possible to immediately get that degree at HCC and go out and apply for jobs. Often it kind of works in theater almost as an apprenticeship. If you want to do lighting design, you work as a lighting assistant on a professional theater production and kind of learn and work your way up. So depending on the student and what they want, it can kind of go both ways. And acting, of course, it depends on the students. We have some students who kind of finish their 2-year degree and go out and start auditioning, and they end up getting roles in and around Houston or outside of Houston. But there are amazing acting programs in and around Texas that they can transfer their credits over and continue to study.
Let's talk about what you guys have going on this semester with some of the virtual offerings. Of course, we've been doing things virtual now for, it seems like, forever. But I know you guys are going to be dying to get back into a theater, into a studio. But what are you doing virtually this semester that students can share with the general public online?
Yeah, this semester we're doing something a little different. We're partnering with a theater company called GI60. It used to be called Gone in 60, and then they got a cease and desist order because of the movies. But it's a 1-minute theater festival production company, and they do 1-minute theater festivals in New York and in the UK, and they've had some in New Zealand. They've done children's versions, and I was lucky enough to work with them years ago when I lived in New York, and when we were talking about what can we do virtually, I reconnected with them. They've been doing some great things virtually, and so what we're doing is rehearsing 1-minute plays. We were able to put a call for submissions to around the world, really, to get 1-minute plays from playwrights and choose 40. There are 4 directors in the theater program, and we're all kind of directing a total of 14 students in 40 plays, and it'll all last in about an hour. And the really great thing about this, in addition to kind of the great work that's going on, is we've got permission to film some of them in one of our actual spaces. So following COVID guidelines, we're rehearsing on Zoom and WebEx, but we're able to actually kind of present this as a filmed stage version, which is going to be a lot of fun.
So when you have a 1-minute play, there's got to be a lot of pressure to pack everything you can in that 1 minute and make it really stand out. Is that the case when you're putting something like this together?
Sure. It's, you don't want to tell the audience we're doing a 1-minute play and then they sit there and they say, nope, that one was 1.5 minutes. That doesn't count. So we really kind of work with the playwrights initially and kind of say, if we need to cut a few lines here or there to still tell the story, we will. But one of the great things about kind of keeping it a tight 1 minute is it teaches the students, especially the acting students, kind of how to dive right into a character immediately, and that you don't get a warm-up period, that as soon as that play starts, we need to know who you are and what you're doing, and you're engaging with us, and then it's over. So it's a really great exercise for students, and traditionally audiences have loved it.
Well, and when you get into the TV world, when you get to the end of that 1 minute, they start rolling credits and playing music, and you're done whether or not, because you got to catch another program that's coming up next. So that's a good thing to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're having a great time with it on top of everything else.
Let's talk about those COVID guidelines. Have you guys been able to get back into the theaters, onto the campuses for your lab portions yet?
I just started teaching my Acting 1 and Acting 2 classes in person this past week, which felt great. Again, following COVID guidelines and everything, but we just started on Monday and Tuesday. So if it's a Monday, Wednesday class, the Monday class will be in the theater and the Wednesday class will be on WebEx. And it went great this week. The students were thrilled to be back, even 6 feet or more apart, and kind of keeping the masks and working that way. It felt absolutely like the beginning of a return to something resembling normal, which was, a great feeling, especially after the past year.
Michael, how good of an actor do you have to be to wear a mask and get across your expressions? Is that going to be happening in the world? Because that seems like that would be fascinating.
It's a great question. There's an element of theater that is mask work, though it doesn't usually involve something so simple as just the protective masks, but various kind of masks. And one of the great training exercises for our student actors is how do you get across what you're trying to get across when we can't see the lower half of your face?
Yeah.
And the good thing about theater, which is a little different than film, is you have your entire body that you can use. So if you rely on your face and you don't have that, what else can you use in the performance to get there? And so it's actually not as limiting as it might sound. And, again, the students learn from it. And I think everybody kind of feels like they'll do whatever it takes because they're glad to be in the presence of other people.
Sure. What do you guys have upcoming for the summer and as you head into the fall?
This summer, it's the first time in a while we've got a summer practicum, and we don't know exactly what the play is going to be yet, and we don't have 100% confirmation on how that's going to be rehearsed or presented, but we're going to start pretty regularly at HCC having summer productions that will go up in some way in July, and I'm sure this year it will go up again virtually in July, but going forward, hopefully our summer production will become a regular annual thing. And then in the fall, we don't 100% know yet. We've been having conversations about that, and we're hoping to at least be able to rehearse in person, and that'll kind of determine what plays we pick and how we do it.
So we've got a lot of things coming up on schedule. Are you guys I know you're back in doing some in-person classes, but how do you think you got a hang of this online thing now? Do you think it's going to play a role as you move forward with maybe a mixture of live and virtual productions?
It could. Some of it will depend on the nature of the play. There are some plays that will absolutely work to present virtually, but the root of theater, I think, is always in person. The audience being a part of the process, and that the actors and the audience are in the same space, and there's that kind of unspoken connection that happens in theater that is vitally important for not just theater at HCC, but theater everywhere. And I know that there's a lot of people in the theater industry looking forward to coming back. So I do think that virtual will remain some aspect of the theater as an art form, but I know that as soon as we can get in person in front of a live audience, we're looking forward to it.
Well, live audiences are ready for you guys too. I know we're looking forward to a theater and watching something on stage.
Absolutely.
Michael Flanagan, we appreciate you being here on the show. Thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Todd.
We'll talk to you soon.
All right.
All right, we're going to move on to Frank Cooper with our HCC news and announcements. Right off the bat, Frank, we got a big event coming up April 8th and 9th. That's a Thursday and Friday. And Dr. Steven Kleinberg will be presenting to our HCC community.
Absolutely. So he has a virtual event called Embracing Student Success Through Personalized Pathways, Learning and Engagement, and Achieving the Dream Site. Say that 3 times as fast. A focused discussion on HCC's future directions will be highlighted by a keynote speaker, Dr. Kleinberg, founder director of Rice University, Condon Institute of Urban Research. So for more information on that, just check out the link after our show.
All right, Adjunct Faculty Emergency Fund. It's out there. The faculty has started the Joyce Roberta Miller Alper Emergency Fund to help our adjunct faculty with such emergency expenses as car repairs, transportation needs, immediate family care, and even pet health care. Any current adjunct whose total household income is less than $60,000, including those on short-term work break, can apply for up to $500 per year. For more information, it's a very long website address, but we're going to put that in the social media post for the show. So keep an eye out for it. The Student Work Study Program, Frank, that's one way to earn some money that you don't have to pay back that helps pay your school.
Absolutely. So start 2021 the right way. So there are plenty of open positions and funding available for students to qualify. Who qualifies? So for more information about that, go to hccs.referrals.selectminds.com/work-study/.
If you're worried about funds but still need to get a certification or a better job, we've got a program for you. Fast track training for free. That's right. Free courses where you can get certifications, get into the job market, and it's not going to cost you anything. In fact, HCC has a list of training programs that can get you in and out and into a high demand job. And if you qualify, all of your tuition and services could be free. Jobs including everything from air conditioning repair to cybersecurity to logistics to welding, all of that and more. There's a whole list of courses and programs you can get involved in. There's one website you can go to. We'll have that website link in the social media post for this show. Check it out, especially if you want to save some money with free tuition. All right, move ahead with adult ed, Frank.
So if COVID has left you without a job or you're struggling to find work because of the lack of high school diploma or industry's training, the HCC's adult education program can help you get the skills that you need for a new job. So for more info and to register, visit the link in our post after the show or go to there's no website here, but after the show, it'll be posted on there.
Yeah, we'll get you the website. It's hard to read these out really quickly and give you, because a lot of these websites are long, folks. So we always put the websites for everything we're talking about and all the pertinent information in the social media post for this particular show. All right, Frank, we had Dr. Shantae Grays on the show yesterday, our Vice Chancellor of Student Services. Want to update everybody because there's no longer 4 learning options for the summer and the fall. There's actually 5. She laid them out on the show yesterday. There's hybrid ones, online ones, and guess what? The return to face-to-face classes. The kicker here is you have to sign up early because a lot of these classes are going to be very small. There may only be 9 to 12 people in them. A lot of social distancing, giving everyone the best chance to keep safe in this world we live in today. So if you want to sign up for those face-to-face classes, sign up early. Summer registration is underway now. The fall registration is underway on April 12th. That's right. You can sign up for the fall beginning April 12th. Sign up early, get your classes, and get back on track to get your degree or your certification, or just to get some classes in and move on to another of our partnering colleges or universities. You can get it done by going to one website, hccs.edu/now. All right, Frank. So on tomorrow, we've got a huge game for the city of Houston and the University of Houston because guess what, folks? They're in the NCAA tournament and they're in the Sweet 16. We're talking about Houston Cougars.
Absolutely, man. So these are 2 great coaches they're going to be on each side of the court. Coach Boeheim, who's been coaching for like 40 years, won a championship back in 2003 with Carmelo Anthony on the squad back then. And then you got Coach Sampson, who has been a very decorated coach himself, coaching the pros. Took OU to a championship back in 2004, I think 2004 as well. They lost, but you got close to 65 years of coaching experience in this game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very excited to see what's going to happen here. I think U of H is a better team as far as top to bottom, as far as their roster, a lot of veteran experience, got scoring, you got one of the best defensive teams in the country. Then you got Syracuse with that favorite 3-2 zone. They run one of the best zones in the country. Athletically, they always have a long, very long, very talented, tall team. So don't be surprised if it's a defensive matchup and it been a low scoring affair.
It could very well be. And don't be surprised if just like the last game where Houston is not leading the whole game, but guess what? They come back and win the game. That's just what these Cougars are. They're comeback kings. They know how to win. They know how to do it. But then again, as proven, they can lose a few games to some teams they shouldn't. So, hey, they're a bunch of kids, but they're doing a great job. And I'm looking forward to this game tomorrow. Like you said, it's going to be possibly a low scoring game. It starts late at night too. It's like 9:30 on a Saturday night. So late tip off, but boy, is it going to be a big monumental game.
Absolutely. It's going to be one for the ages. So everybody in Houston, stand up, man. Let's support these Cougs and let's get to the Final Four.
Yeah. So another team in Houston, the Houston Rockets, looks like they traded away their best player yesterday. I was kind of scratching my head about that because they didn't really seem to get anything in return.
They traded him for a box of Crunch and Munch, a ring pop, and a Ziploc bag. That's basically
I think there was a DeAndre Hopkins jersey involved with that as well, a Cardinals jersey that was in that. But, you know, I did hear, though, that this guy had no intentions of sticking around this dumpster fire of Houston.
No, Victor Oladipo did not. I know Houston
the last part of his contract. It wasn't.
Yeah. They offered him a 2-year extension. He declined. He turned it down. Like, he turned down money. Like, I don't want to be here, which is fine. But you got to get a better deal for that. Like, this is when healthy, he's a top 25 player, and you didn't get much for him. The Dallas Mavericks traded for JJ Redick from New Orleans. They gave up less for JJ Redick and then Houston gave him more to give away a top 25 player. So I don't know, man. Like, I know they got a new GM in Houston, man, but he's got to right the ship. He's got to right the ship come this offseason and get some better talent and better draft capital if you're going to rebuild this team right away.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like, you know, once again, it's very characteristic of another Houston team that has no clue in what they're doing. Although they've made some roster moves recently. We're talking about the Texans. They've made a bunch of roster moves recently. Still don't know what they're going to do at quarterback, but they've made a bunch of roster moves that have pretty much replaced almost the whole team.
Yeah, I mean, and again, your back's against the wall because you don't have draft capital to rebuild this team right away. Like, they don't have a first, they don't have a second. So, like, I think they have their third, but by the time the third round comes, a lot of great prospects are going to be off the board by then. So you're going to have to hit on your later round draft picks. And there's a stat that says anything after the third round, it's like an 8% hit or 8% clip that player will be a starter in the league. Like, those numbers don't look good if you're the Texans. So you got to be able to hit in free agency and get you some bargain bin deals. Some guys are coming off injuries, some guys who have potential but haven't really shown it. Because come this April, maybe next April, it's going to be tough come draft time.
Yeah, they're certainly looking not that good right now, but that's a whole nother story with the Texans. But back to the Rockets, though, you know, you'd think that new ownership, they might have a grasp of things, but it seems like they're just floundering right now, and it's going to be a while before they get any better.
Yeah, it is, and you know, they have some bright spots. I mean, Christian Wood, the power forward they signed from Detroit, he looks like he's going to be a player, but if you're going to be a contender, a playoff contender, he can't be your best player. He has to be your third best player as far as depth to like really be a playoff contender. And I mean, I'm glad that he's getting experience now. Why he's been the focal point of the offense, but that's not who he is, at least not yet. So, so with this draft pick that they're going to keep, that they should have given away for Russell Westbrook. It's top 5 protected. Well, they have the worst record in the league. So they're going to retain that pick, and maybe that pick turns into Jalen Suggs from Gonzaga or
you never know.
State.
I mean, unlike the Texans, they do have some good draft capital coming up. So at least there's some bright spots there. Well, Frank, that about wraps up the show for today. We've got, I'm not going to be here Monday, but you're going to be subbing along with Raquel Sims, right?
Absolutely. Can't wait to work with Raquel. Such a bright spot with HCC. You know, she hands HCC Stafford's radio show out there. Can't wait to work with her, man. She's a great talent.
All right, so join Frank on Monday. He's got Susan Thompson, Program Director for HCC's Engineering and STEM Initiatives. She'll be here to fill us in with those going-ons, including the new Katy expansion for HCC Northwest. And also Monday's Mental Health Day, and you've got a guest joining you for that as well.
Absolutely. So Andrea Watkins will be here to discuss the Women's Fund for Education and Resiliency, a nonprofit organization that is dedicated to providing tools and resources for Houston area women and girls to be healthy and resilient. So I can't wait to talk to her.
All right, Frank, we'll see you on Monday along with Raquel. Thanks for being here today. And want to mention, go Cougs. Let's beat Syracuse tomorrow. Go Cougars. I'm Todd Duplantis. Have a great weekend. I'll see you next week.